Two armed robbers stormed into a small neighborhood store, and within minutes, one single father was bleeding on the floor, after making a choice that would change not only one little girl's life, but his own forever. And trust me, you'll never see the twist coming. The bell above Miller's corner store chimed softly as the day wound toward closing. Behind the counter, David Martinez, a single father still adjusting to life after losing his wife Sarah 2 years earlier, was finishing up stocking the last shelf. His 8-year-old son, Tommy, sat quietly at the counter, bent over his math homework, the same determined brown eyes as his father glancing up now and then. "Dad, can we get ice cream on the way home?" Tommy asked, hopeful but knowing money was tight. David smiled. Tommy rarely asked for anything. "Sure, buddy, you've earned it." The warm moment was interrupted by the doorbell again, this time announcing a sharply dressed woman on a phone call and her young daughter, Emma, who wandered the aisles with the bored patience of a child used to waiting. Victoria Blackwood, the woman, barely looked up from discussing board meetings and stock prices. Emma lingered over a small toy, then placed it back without asking for it. David, noticing, crouched down beside her. "That's a nice toy," he said gently. Emma's big blue eyes met his. "Mommy's busy. She doesn't like it when I ask for things during work time." David felt a pang. He'd seen that quiet longing before in his own son. But before he could say more, the bell over the door chimed again, and two men in dark clothes and baseball caps rushed in, moving with the sharp, tense energy of danger. David's stomach tightened. The taller one pulled a gun. "Everyone stay calm and nobody gets hurt." The other locked the door, flipped the sign to closed. In an instant, the air in the store thickened with fear. Old Mr. Miller, the store's elderly owner, froze behind the register. Victoria finally tore her eyes from her phone, color draining from her face. The shorter robber barked orders, grabbing her watch and phone. The taller one demanded cash. "This is just business," he said flatly, waving his gun. David's eyes darted toward Tommy, still behind the counter, wide-eyed and unmoving. Emma, stranded in the middle of the store, stared at the gunman in shock. "I want my mommy," she whimpered. "Shut that kid up," the tall man snapped, swinging the gun toward her. Victoria stepped forward. "Please, she's scared. Emma, come here." But Emma was rooted in place, tears spilling down her cheeks. The gunman took a step closer, his voice rising. "I said shut her up," and then without thinking, David moved. In the split second between the man raising his arm and the trigger pulling, David thought of Tommy, how terrified his boy would be. He thought of Sarah's voice telling him his heart was too big for his own good. But mostly he thought of the little girl who just wanted her mother. He lunged. The gun went off. Pain tore through his chest, knocking him to the floor. He gasped, vision blurring, but he saw Emma, still crying but untouched. "Dad!" Tommy's voice broke as he ran to his side. The robbers panicked, grabbing what they could before bolting out the open door. Victoria dropped to her knees beside David, pressing her hands hard against the wound, her designer suit darkening with his blood. "Stay with me," she said, voice shaking. Mr. Miller's trembling voice called from behind the counter. "Ambulance is on the way." Tommy knelt by his father, clutching his hand. "Don't leave me, Dad." David's breathing was shallow, but his eyes stayed fixed on his son. "I'm not going anywhere, buddy," he managed. Victoria glanced down at him, confusion in her voice. "Why, you don't even know us." David's lips curved into the faintest smile. "She's just a little girl. She was scared. Someone had to be her hero today." Emma, still in her mother's arms, reached out and touched his hand. "Thank you, Mr. David," he corrected softly. "And that's my son, Tommy." Victoria swallowed hard. I'm Victoria and this is Emma. I don't know how to thank you. Take care of your little girl. That's thanks enough. The paramedics arrived, lifting David onto a stretcher as Tommy walked beside them, gripping his father's hand until they had to let go. Hours later, Victoria found herself in the hospital waiting room with Tommy and Emma. Her assistant had canceled her meetings, her driver was waiting, but she couldn't bring herself to leave. Emma sat beside Tommy, watching him fiddle with an old action figure. "Is your daddy going to be okay?" she whispered. Tommy straightened, his voice steady. "My dad's strong. When my mom got sick, he took care of us all by himself. He works 2 jobs and still makes me breakfast every morning." Emma looked down. "I don't have a daddy. Mommy works a lot." Victoria's heart ached. For the first time in years, she saw the distance her own choices had built between her and her daughter. And when Dr. Hassan came out, announcing David was stable but unable to work for at least 2 months, she understood exactly what that meant for a family like his. No work, no income, no safety net. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. David looked pale but peaceful, his hand resting in Tommy's. On the other side of the bed, Emma placed the toy from the store on the table. "So he knows I won't forget," she said when Victoria asked about it. In the days that followed, Victoria found herself returning every evening. She brought dinner, helped Tommy with homework, even sat and listened to David's stories. He was unlike anyone she knew, no pretenses, no games. He remembered Emma's favorite color, asked her about school, and told her silly jokes until she giggled. "You don't have to keep coming," he told her one night. "I know you're busy." She looked up from Emma's coloring book. "I used to think I was busy, but I was just avoiding the important things, like my daughter, like being happy." David was recovering slowly, and in the quiet moments between their conversations, Victoria began to notice how much Tommy and Emma seemed to gravitate toward each other, sharing crayons, swapping stories, laughing in a way only kids could. And she began to notice something else. She didn't want this makeshift little circle of 4 to end when David left the hospital. When the day finally came for his release, she insisted on driving him and Tommy home. Pulling up to their apartment, she felt her chest tighten. The building was old, the street worn and tired. Inside, it was small but spotless, walls dotted with Tommy's drawings and photographs of Sarah. Over sandwiches in the cramped kitchen, Victoria hesitated, then made her offer, her company's unused guest house rent-free while he recovered. "It's not charity, it's what friends do." David resisted at first, but Tommy's hopeful face and Emma's excited clapping left him with little choice. The guest house felt like another world. Bright rooms, a safe neighborhood, a big backyard where the kids could play without worry. Tommy had his own room and David had a place to truly rest. Victoria began leaving work earlier, cooking dinner with them, teaching the kids simple recipes. David helped Emma with reading. Tommy taught her to ride the bike Victoria had bought. Evenings in the backyard became their quiet ritual, watching the kids chase each other under the warm glow of porch lights. One night, David broke the comfortable silence. "I never thought I'd be friends with someone like you," Victoria laughed. "And I never thought I'd be friends with someone who'd show me what I was missing in life." "What were you missing?" "Time, real conversations, watching Emma discover things, being present instead of just providing." He nodded slowly. "Sarah would have liked you." David told her about his late wife, the nurse who believed the best way to honor your life was to make someone else's better. Before she died, she'd made him promise to raise Tommy with that same belief. Victoria's eyes glistened. I think I've been measuring success all wrong. Over the weeks, the four of them became inseparable. Tommy and Emma developed a sibling-like bond, protecting and encouraging each other. Victoria learned to braid hair, make pancakes, and play board games. David reminded her that love and attention mattered more than anything money could buy. It didn't take long for Emma and Tommy to notice something the adults were too cautious to admit. David and Victoria had begun to look at each other differently. The kids hatched a plan. They dropped hints at dinner. Emma asking David if he thought her mom was pretty, Tommy asking Victoria if she thought Mr. David was nice. Both adults stumbled through their answers, blushing while the kids exchanged satisfied looks. Emma drew a picture of four stick figures holding hands, explaining to her mother that it was our family. Tommy wrote a school essay titled My Hero, but instead of writing about his dad, he wrote about Victoria. She saved my dad when he was scared in the hospital, the essay read. She gave us a nice place to live, helps me with homework, and loves me and my dad. Heroes don't have to wear capes. Sometimes they wear business suits and have kind hearts. Victoria was stunned when Tommy brought her a copy. Then came a rainy Saturday evening that changed everything. The kids were watching a movie while David and Victoria cleaned up after dinner. They moved around the kitchen with an ease that came from weeks of unspoken partnership. "These past 2 months," David began, voice low, "have been the best Tommy and I have had since Sarah died. Not because of the house or the help, but because of you. You've made us feel like a family again." Victoria's heart thudded. "David, you think you don't have much to offer me, but you've given me the most important thing in the world. You gave me my daughter back." They admitted at last what the kids had already known for weeks. They were in love. From the living room, Emma whispered to Tommy, "I think it worked." 6 months later, David had fully healed and returned to work, though life looked nothing like it had before. Victoria had offered him a position managing security for her company, with better pay and hours that let him be home for dinner every night. They didn't rush anything, but their bond only deepened. Eventually, David moved into the main house, and Tommy and Emma officially became the brother and sister they had long felt like in their hearts. Victoria learned to balance work with family in ways she'd never imagined possible. She was there for Tommy's soccer games, Emma's school plays, lazy Sunday breakfasts, and Friday night game nights. David brought stability, warmth, and quiet humor into their lives, helping Victoria see that success had nothing to do with money or power. It was about showing up for the people who mattered. The family began building small traditions: Saturday adventures to museums or parks, Sunday pancakes made by everyone together, and even simple trips to the grocery store that somehow felt like outings worth remembering. One night, tucking the kids into bed, Victoria turned to David. "Sarah was right," she said softly. "The best way to honor your life is to make someone else's better. You made Emma's life better by saving it. You made mine better by showing me what really matters. And Emma and Tommy made both our lives better just by being themselves." David squeezed her hand. "I think Sarah would be happy. I think she'd be proud." Exactly 1 year after the robbery, the four of them returned to Miller's corner store. Behind the counter, Mr. Miller had framed a newspaper clipping with the headline, "Local Hero Saves Child in Store Robbery." Victoria stared at the photo of David and shook her head. "I still can't believe you did that." David smiled. "I can't believe I didn't do it sooner." Tommy and Emma ran to the toy aisle, and Emma spotted the same little toy she'd admired the day of the robbery. "Mommy, can I get this for my room?" "Of course, sweetheart," Victoria said, no hesitation this time. As they walked to the counter, David thought about how life could pivot on a single moment. One decision to be brave, to put someone else first, could change everything. The bullet scar on his chest had faded, but the love that had grown from that day had not. Outside, with ice cream for everyone, Emma took David's hand while Tommy took Victoria's. "Are we a real family now?" Emma asked. David looked at her warmly. "We've always been a real family, from the moment we decided to take care of each other." As they drove home together, the laughter of the children filling the car, David realized something he would carry for the rest of his life. Sometimes the greatest heroes aren't the ones who save the day in a blaze of glory. They're the ones who save each other quietly, one small act of love at a time. And in that moment, with the people who mattered most beside him, he knew he'd found the kind of success Sarah had always believed in. That day started with two strangers in a store and ended with a family built on bravery, love, and second chances. If this story touched your heart, share it, because sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change the world. And if you want more unforgettable, true stories like this, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you're here for the next one. Until then, stay kind, stay brave, and take care of each other.